You know those moments when life keeps coming at you and you're sitting there like, seriously, again? Well, I do. Some days it feels like no matter what we do, life keeps throwing more and more curveballs. But here's the thing, what if I told you there's a way, even in that moment, to catch your breath, clear your mind, and keep moving forward? Today I want to talk about journaling, specifically how it can help us build resilience. Setbacks are a part of our lives, they just are. But staying stuck, that's a choice. And journaling has been my way out of staying stuck more times than I can count. Hi, I'm Frida, and welcome to my channel where we focus on prioritizing self care through journaling. Honestly, journaling is one of the things that's kept me grounded through some of the toughest seasons of my life, like the one I'm in now, where I'm working full time, trying to figure out how to be a good mom and wife, and caring for my mom who has dementia and the tendency to become verbally and physically aggressive with me. I know life gets heavy sometimes, I do. Whether it's work, caregiving, family stuff, or just the daily grind, life can feel overwhelming sometimes. That's the reason I'm so passionate about journaling and journaling through all of that stuff. Journaling is not just about writing things down, it's about processing, reflecting, and giving yourself the space to feel what you feel, all the things, without judgment. I've needed that space more than I can tell you. And I can tell you from personal experience that creating that safe space through our journaling practice is so good for our souls. I've mentioned before that my mom has dementia and that I'm her primary caregiver. That's hard. And some days are more difficult than others. And the more difficult days seem to always align with my most difficult times or busy times at work, the times when I have a lot going on at home. It's just like everything happens at once. All the difficult, hard things just come at me. Again, sometimes those curveballs seem like they come with so much intense frequency and speed because honestly, they do. The first time my mom became physically aggressive with me, I just couldn't believe it. I had a really hard time, and I mean a really hard time, pulling myself together afterwards because none of it made sense. But that's the thing with dementia. It doesn't make sense. At least it doesn't to me. That day, my mom was dusting the window when I asked her to put on her shoes so that I could take her to get her hair done. She said okay, but kept dusting. After about 5 or 10 minutes, I asked her again to put on her shoes so that we could go to her hair appointment. Again, she said okay, but kept dusting. Another 5 or 10 minutes went by, and I was concerned that we weren't going to make it to her appointment in time for her to get her hair done. I asked her again to put on her shoes so that we could go to her hair appointment, and well, things escalated quickly. I still don't completely understand what happened. And it still hurts my heart to this day just thinking about it. Well, after that incident, like I said, I just had a hard time, a really hard time getting myself together. Because who wants to think about their mom being physically aggressive with them? Even today, I still have a hard time acknowledging that that incident really happened. Anyway, afterwards, I called my brother to talk to him. I cried in my car. Now, my natural tendency is to keep everything inside. So, crying in public or crying when I'm talking to someone, even if it's in my car, is not my norm. And when I tell you that I cried, I cried. I ugly cried until I couldn't cry anymore. And then I started driving. And I drove until I felt that I was somewhat calmer. And then I decided that I wanted a milkshake because I also tend to be an emotional eater. So when things get really crazy, there's always something delicious somewhere that feels like it's calling my name. Um, so that's one of those things that I'm still working on, but that was the least of my concern after having that incident with my mom becoming physically aggressive with me. Anyway, I drove for about 30 minutes to our local char grill and had a burger, a hot dog, and a strawberry milkshake while I tried to figure out how my day had spiraled completely out of control so quickly. When I finally got home and parked in my driveway, I just sat there in my car, just absolutely exhausted from the intense emotions of it all. I remember thinking and saying out loud, I can't do this. I also remember thinking, I can't believe this just happened. Later, I decided to write in my journal, not to solve anything, just to get everything out of my head. And slowly, as I wrote, I started to feel less heavy about everything and all the intense emotions that I had been feeling. Nothing in my life had changed in that moment, but I felt different. I felt better, which was huge considering how drastically my world had changed that day. Resilience is a word that we hear a lot, right? But what does it really mean? Well, resilience isn't about um, being tough or pretending that everything's fine and okay. It's about finding a way to keep going even when life feels hard. And here's the thing, resilience is something that we can build. It's not something that you either have or you don't have. It's a skill that develops and strengthens the more we work at it. For me, journaling has been a big part of that. It's a way to take what's swirling around in my head and put it on paper. It gives me clarity and reminds me that I can handle whatever life throws my way, even if it doesn't feel like it in that moment. So, how exactly does journaling help with resilience? So, let's break that down. It helps us to process our emotions. When life feels overwhelming, it's easy to push down everything that we're feeling. But eventually, if we do that, all that stuff that we have tried to ignore is going to catch up with us. Journaling is like giving those emotions a place to go. Some days, my journal entries are just me venting, no structure to them, no plan, just whatever comes out. And that's okay. Getting it out of my head and onto paper is my first step in feeling better, so I take that time. Journaling also helps us to spot patterns. So over time, journaling has helped me to notice things that I might have missed otherwise. For example, I've noticed that when I get overwhelmed, it's usually because I stop doing the things that keep me grounded, like journaling or exercising. So you have to figure out what works for you and take notice when you realize that you're not doing those things. Seeing my patterns has helped me to course correct before things get way off track, at least more often than it was before I started journaling consistently. Journaling also shifts our mindset. One of the biggest benefits of journaling is that it helps us to reframe our thoughts. It's not about ignoring our challenges, it's about uncovering those glimpses of hope and acknowledging the insight that we can draw from even our difficult moments. I love using prompts like, what's one thing that I can learn from this? Another one that I love is, what's still in my control? Because even when things are spiraling out of control in certain parts of our lives, there are other things that we can control. And being able to remember that and see that helps me to stop spiraling so bad. So, those are the kinds of questions that help me to shift my focus from what's going wrong to actually what's possible. Now, if you're thinking, okay, this all sounds great, but I have no idea where to start, I've got you. Journaling doesn't have to be complicated. You don't need anything fancy, just something to write on. That said, my Simply Chic journal collection is designed to keep you encouraged as you commit to prioritizing your self care. I've linked them in the description below. If you're new to journaling, here are a few tips that have helped me. Start small. You don't have to write a novel. Just a few sentences can be enough to help you clear your mind and start processing your emotions. Use prompts. If you're stuck, try asking yourself, what's one thing I'm grateful for today? Or what's been on my mind lately? And be kind to yourself. Some days you'll feel like writing, and some days you won't, and that's okay. Journaling isn't about perfection, it's about progress. Listen, life isn't always easy, and setbacks are going to happen. But journaling gives us a way to process, reflect, and find a path forward. It's a tool that's helped me to build resilience, and I know it can do the same for you. If this resonated with you, give this video a thumbs up and hit that subscribe button so that we can keep this conversation going. And drop a comment below. I'd love to hear from you. Join me in the next video where we'll dive into daily journaling rituals for mental health and explore practical ways to build a routine that fits your life. See you in the next video.